Today, I'm joined by Linzy King, who is a bodybuilder in the wellness category. She won her first 3 competitions and then placed 3rd in her first international competition. That is shorthand for absolutely smashing it. Linzy is also someone I've known for 20 years. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck into this conversation, maybe reminiscing some of those memories from back in the day, and also asking a few questions about the insane kind of life trajectory that she has been on in terms of mindset, discipline, determination, focus, and lifting weights up and down again and again and again. I'm really happy to be joined by her. Linzy King, welcome to the Seb Whitehouse show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You're right, Linz?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Yes, Linzy. All right. There's a lot of stuff I want to get stuck into in this conversation. Being a competitive bodybuilder requires like an utterly insane amount of discipline, kind of rigid diet, determination, sacrifice, struggle. I'm really hyping it up here. And voluntary suffering. So yeah, I find it fascinating on a psychological level, the amount of commitment that it takes in every single area of your life to basically sculpture your body into looking superhuman. But first, before we get into all of that, let's go back to where it all began. We've known each other 20 years. Yeah, let's roll it back. We've known each other 20 years. Where did we first meet, and what are your memories of that time?
God, we met on College Green, the famous College Green.
The famous
Come
College
on.
Green.
Yeah, I just remember we went to a lot of parties, didn't we? Mainly just on the green. Yeah, you probably remember me when I was a goth, don't you?
I do remember you when you were a goth. And I was 12 years old, and I was very attracted to you when you were a goth. I probably had that. I probably had this thought at like 12, 13 years old. Do I fancy goths?
Yeah. I was a good goth, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. We were talking last time I saw you about College Green, and we were making a list of the type of people that hung out on College Green. Now, for everyone listening that doesn't know what we're talking about, basically College Green is this area of Bristol. It's a grassy area of Bristol between the council house and the cathedral, and it's quite calm and civilized these days. But 20 years ago, it was a very, very different place. Like, do you remember the little list we made of the different types of people that used to hang out on College Green? Should we try and reel it off?
There was like chavs, rude boys. Obviously, you had the goth crews. You had like the skaters. Then you had like the punks, just like literally everybody from walks of life. And then there'd be random like older people that would just be like completely normal, that would come and just sit with us and, you know, drink and smoke and whatnot. It was just like a place where people ended up, I think, and we were all kind of looking for something. I think we were all a little bit, some of us were a bit lost, you know, and kind of wanted that kind of family, I guess, where it was, you know, we could all go and see each other and hang out and just kind of be reckless, really, but in a safe environment, in a really strange way. It was quite a safe environment.
Yeah, so the interesting thing about it was it wasn't just like a teenage phase, because it was people from all walks of life and of all ages as well. It wasn't like it was just kids there. There was like 30, 40, 50-year-olds there. It was basically kind of like, I've got it written down here from the conversation we had when I last saw you, but I've got it here because it made me laugh so much when we were talking about it before. I've got skaters, goths, punks, rude boys, chavs, meaders, don't forget the meaders, emos, people trying to mug you, people trying to drug you, people trying to sell drugs to you, people asking if they could buy drugs off you, people completely off their tits on every variety of substance you can think of. And you came up with this one, random homeless men, and then teenagers who went to private schools and teenagers who didn't go to school, absolute shenanigans, and it all take place on a patch of grass between the council house and the cathedral.
Oh, yeah, that's the best way of explaining it, to be honest. And it is really hard, like you said earlier, to explain it to other people. You know, when you're telling people about, you know, teenagers, like, a lot of teenagers, like, in our generation would go to the parks, whatever, and drink, but it was like a whole community of people. It was like everybody who went there always reminisces about that time, because it was like a pinnacle point in all of our lives, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't just a few teenagers sitting on a bench. Sorry?
No. You just don't really get that anymore.
Yeah, it wasn't just a few teenagers sitting on a bench drinking cider. It was like the epicenter of the city, and there would often be hundreds and hundreds of people there. And you know, you'd come down Park Street on a summer's day, and the air would be thick with cannabis smoke, like
Oh yeah.
halfway up Park Street. And for everyone listening, that's like, that's a
Smell
good,
it. Ooh,
that's a while away. And it was, yeah, I remember it all changed when I
yeah.
was about 15. They had CCTV installed. I don't know if you
Mm,
remember that, but I remember it.
yeah.
It changed overnight. Suddenly people were like
Being
glancing up at
watched.
the camera and like
Yeah.
just like going around the corner to do the naughty stuff, whatever they were doing. And they kind of just completely changed the place, I would say. And it's nothing
Yeah.
like that anymore.
No, it's really not. I always walk past it and think, oh, I think, oh yes, I remember. And it seems so small now. It seems so small, but I remember it seemed so big.
Yeah, well,
It
we
seemed like a patch of grass, like, and we used to do all sorts of madness.
I know.
And you could literally see it from the street.
Well, the reason I'm talking about this, the reason I'm bringing this into this conversation is because, like, kind of got to look backwards before we work out why you took the path that you're on now. Do you know what I mean? Like, where it's kind of all began. Because, like, we were both quite young to be down there on College Green doing what we were doing at that time.
Yes.
We were probably I mean, I was like 12, 13. What are you? A year or two older than me, but still, we were young. And we were children. Oh yeah, children. And neither of us are exactly like physically very tall now. So I don't know. I don't know how tiny we were.
I know.
But the reason I'm bringing it up is because like it was a chaotic like period of life to be involved in terms of the naughty stuff that we got up to when we were down there and the type of people we were spending time with, socializing with. Some of them were a little bit dodgy or quite a lot older than us. So it was quite a like it was quite an intense kind of way of growing up. What was your mental, emotional state like as a teenager, like at that period of time? Because like, it's interesting looking back. I remember looking over at you, and we spoke a few times, obviously, but I remember looking over at you and like kind of fancying you and just looking over like, oh, it's Lindsay. But like, it's so interesting now as adults to look back and be like, okay, what was actually going on there? Like, what was going on in me? What was going on in you and everyone else? Like, were you okay?
I was high. I was wasted high. So I was having the time of my life. But in reality, I wasn't okay at all. I think, if it's comparable to like another person's sort of teenage years, I think it was very intense. And I think I felt a lot of adult emotions in that time. You kind of grew up very quickly because, I was using drugs every day. I was drinking every day. I was taking whatever drugs I could find. My mission was just to get wasted and to kind of forget about everything that was kind of going on. And yeah, it got to quite a dark stage, I think. But the most of it was just fun and, part of growing up, I guess. But yeah, no, I think I was looking for something. I was looking to fit in. I was looking to sort of express my emotions, and obviously when you start using drugs and alcohol, that then becomes its own set of problems, really, because I was addicted, really. I had to go on an alcohol program at 15. I was taking sort of, various medications to stop me having withdrawals from alcohol. And as a teenager, that's something you don't really write that in your own story, certainly not at that age, So yeah, it's quite a tough time.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it, how the fun and the madness and the substance abuse, like, you can argue that it is part of growing up and there were good times thrown in there, but usually the type of kids, the type of teenagers that gravitate towards that sort of extreme, intense behavior usually have a few issues that they're too young and too emotionally sort of immature to even really be aware of. So it's almost like self-medicating over something, but you don't even know that you're self-medicating because you don't even know what the problem is.
Exactly that. Yeah. So it was it's good. I'm glad that I've come away from that, and I'm glad that I did that young because I kind of got it out my system. But there is that kind of, and I guess that's what kind of brings me into bodybuilding, is that kind of repetitive like addiction behavior has now manifested into bodybuilding training, eating, competing. So it's kind of manifesting it. Yeah, like drug use and alcohol and partying all the time has now become, luckily I can do it sober, and luckily I can enjoy myself, and I do get those natural highs. Like when I'm lifting weights, it's like therapy, really. So I think that's where that transitions over, that I'm quite lucky that I found, a nice healthy thing to do.
Yeah. I remember when we were talking before, you said that your attitude at that period of time in your life was very like push it, like maximum intensity kind of destructiveness. Like what would that look like?
What in terms of
Well, what did you
how
mean
far?
when you say push it? Like what were you pushing?
I
Just
care if I lived or died. To be perfectly honest with you, I didn't really have anything else to live for. I just wanted to get high all the time, and there were times where I don't remember what happened to me or where I ended up, and I'd end up in hospital and I'd be really sick. I just didn't care. I just didn't really care about myself at all. I had no self-love at all. So
you've also spoke quite openly in the past about, to me anyway, about body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Is that something you experienced as a teenager?
Yes. Yeah. So I think I was diagnosed when I was 17 with body dysmorphia. And obviously nowadays, I mean, God, who hasn't got body dysmorphia? Because it's just like Jesus. Like if you look at social media, and you're constantly seeing all these images of perfect people, bodies, life. But with me, it came down to certain areas of my body that I just didn't really like. I felt like I was worthless, to be honest with you. And again, I went through therapy at a young age, which I was quite lucky. I'm actually part of a book as well, like Surviving Body Dysmorphia, which goes out into like schools and colleges now, which is pretty cool. So I was able to connect with other people that felt the same way I did. And yeah, it's definitely more of an issue. I think it's more spoken about anyway, definitely now, because of social media, because of the way things are. Like a lot of younger people now are getting wanting to have surgery at a younger age. Like there's the makeup, the hair, to look perfect, whereas me and you were just sat on a bench. We didn't take photos. There's a massive period of my life where I don't have any photos of me at all, and that's really from early teenage to like 26, 27, when you started to get the phones and stuff like that. So yeah, it's something that you never get over something like that. It will be a part of me, but I'm very aware of it now. So obviously bodybuilding has given me the opportunity to change my body, and also my perception of myself as well, which I'm very thankful for, but it's still always there. And I think anybody who competes, oh goodness me, you're going to get that, because you're looking at your body every single day and you're seeing the tiniest little thing, and you're being judged on how you look. You're standing up against, and people are going, oh no, it's not quite right, or you haven't got enough this or enough that. It's quite a, if you say it like that, it's not exactly, it doesn't sound very nice, does it?
You're literally walking onto stage in front of a load of people, where a few people you don't know judge you on your body.
Hang on a minute. How did I end up? But
well, I guess the interesting thing, but wait, let's stick on body dysmorphia for 1 second, because I do want to get into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
But I mean, I am interested in your backstory. Like, how would you actually define body dysmorphia? I don't mean necessarily the exact dictionary definition, but let's say I don't know what it is. What is it? Like, what's your experience when you have that?
Well, it's a mental illness. So it's like somebody could, for me, it was, I wanted plastic surgery from a young age because I didn't like the size of my chest, basically. And I literally thought that if I didn't get this done, that no one would love me, no one would be attracted to me. It affected my relationships. I wouldn't even, wear certain things. I wouldn't go out of the house sometimes. It's how you perceive yourself. So it's very distorted. It's described as being like a distorted view of yourself, basically. And then it relates to the value that you have in yourself. So some people can have like an obsession with a particular part of their body, or some people it's all of it. It's not far off having like an eating disorder, really, but obviously you can't physically change that without maybe doing a certain thing like surgery, or going through therapy to kind of make you see and perceive yourself in a better light. And it's, yeah, now that I have had surgery twice, I kind of come to realize that actually it hasn't, if anything, it's kind of, I wanted to have a nice relationship. I wanted to have all these nice things because I thought that I'd be more worthwhile, but actually mentally I didn't fix what was wrong with me inside my head. So that didn't matter at all.
So you were basically, you were fixing the symptom rather than the root of the problem. You thought that if you had a nice relationship and if you had plastic surgery, that would solve your issues, but actually it was more of a mental internal thing that you had to get past.
Yeah. And, I can only say now that I'm on the other side of it, and I actually feel, like I said, it's always going to be there. And it does manifest now into more of like the bodybuilding thing, where it's like, oh, I don't have enough. It's like muscle dysmorphia, oh, I don't have enough muscle, or, oh, I'm fat when I'm not, I'm just not shredded to the bone. So I think Yeah, body dysmorphia it's a mental illness. It's how you perceive yourself. It's an obsession, and it's very hard to explain to somebody that doesn't have it, because a lot of people think, oh, what are you talking about? You know, like how ridiculous, or you're vain, or you know, you're obsessed with the way you look, and yeah, you are to a certain extent, but it's not in a way of you know, like, oh, I deserve to be this and that because of this, or it's just you just hate yourself basically to the core because of something that's been planted, you know, maybe as a child, or if somebody's got something they don't like about themselves, that becomes their whole kind of motivation through life, I guess.
So, okay, you mentioned that actually getting into a sort of relationship and having plastic surgery wasn't necessarily the cure to all of your problems. Like, what do you think has been the thing that's helped you get over that and be more at peace with that? Like, if not those things, is it just time? Is it wisdom? Or is it therapy? What has helped you?
Of all those things, I think there's no kind of magic wand that's going to make you feel better, but you can do things that will make you feel better, and then they kind of piece together to fix it. You know, I think therapy's great. I think everybody should go for therapy. It's just a nice opportunity to be kind of authentic and open with somebody that, you know, you're never going to see, or in that kind of way. It's not a friend, it's just someone that, you know, can hear you out. Just learning to love yourself. You know, there's more important things. Like, looks fade, looks change, you know, like I feel like, yeah, bodybuilding in a way has kind of rewarded me for how I look, which is kind of, again, when I say it out loud, it sounds a bit odd, but I think that has really helped me because I have placed very well, and you know, I have got a nice, you know, support network of people that support me and say, Lindsay, this is something you're actually really good at. So that's kind of helped me quite a lot, I feel. Yeah, I just feel like time heals, you know, time heals, and you've got to invest in yourself, but really inside yourself, not just on the outside. That does not matter.
I'll tell you what's crazy. I'll tell you what's crazy. Like Rob, I always think about this. Like, for example, I come across as like relatively confident. So people find it hard to get their head around that I could be like anxious or insecure. And like, you know, Robin Williams, the actor,
Yes.
like he was just like an absolute beaming ray of sunshine. The guy was the guy was just like absolutely incredible, and he killed himself because of depression. And I'm looking at you, and you've got body dysmorphia, and you're a ridiculously beautiful woman. And you know, if anyone saw you walking down the street, they would probably assume that you were more likely to have a high opinion of yourself and your body rather than the opposite. And it just goes to show, like, kind of how different we can view ourselves from how other people view us.
Yeah, definitely.
It's mad.
Crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. And you know, I think, like I said, I'm quite lucky. I feel blessed that I've had the opportunity to go to therapy, that I've had, you know, some really good friends in my life. And I'm really thankful that I've been able to have my health and to be able to train and lift weights and, you know, do that, because health is wealth, you know. No one gives a fuck if you've got fucking fake boobs, or like, you know, if you can't do anything with it, or if you're not healthy and you're not happy, and that means like mentally as well. So yeah, we're blessed.
So when did you stop sort of like, I know maybe like you might still dabble in a few drinks here and there, and maybe a bit of naughty stuff here and there. Hey, I'm not making any judgments, but when do you think that you started to turn your life around? What did that look like, and when did that kind of merge into bodybuilding?
Well, it was just, I kept losing friends, you know. A lot of people started to pass away, people got sick, you know, you started to see the, you know, the long-term effects. I felt it myself as well. And I think when you're using alcohol and drugs all the time, you hit that kind of depression, you know, wall, and you just keep going to the same place, and you're just like, I am sick and tired of this. Like, I'm really sick of it. And going back to when I was in school, like I loved to play netball. I was like always into fitness, dancing, gymnastics. You know, that was always kind of something that I dabbled with. So then I just started going to the gym, and I just realized that I started to feel really good naturally, and I was like, what is this? You know, what is this witchcraft that's happening? Like,
yeah.
Like, oh my goodness, like I'm not having to do nothing or take anything, or
and you probably felt better than you did when you were doing that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just, yeah, it just become this obsession where, I was going and really enjoying myself, and then I started to see changes in my body, and I started to think, hang on a minute, hang on, this is something really good right now. So yeah, it just kind of developed naturally. I was with somebody, I was with a partner who was really into the gym as well, and he kind of gave me quite a lot of confidence, and showed me how to weight lift, because I was your kind of typical, first time gym goer. I would like hover around, the treadmill and pick up a little kettlebell here and there. And he sort of said, look, get under the squat rack, do some squats. And that was my first exercise that I fell in love with. And I used to just do that for, every session, just squatting. And then I started doing the leg press and the leg extension. And then it just become like my second home, really.
Here's a question. Oh, sorry, carry on.
No, that's it. Yeah, no, it's just become like a natural thing that I just love to do.
What advice would you give, or what comments would you make towards girls, women who are scared of lifting weights because they don't want to get hench? Because you get a lot of girls like, oh, I don't want to lift weights, I'll look like the Incredible Hulk. You hear that all the time.
Well,
it's like,
a long time.
Hey, go on.
It takes a long time, so don't worry. It's taken me 4 years really to grow like maybe an inch of muscle like on my legs, or it's definitely not going to make you look manly.
What will it do then? If it's not going to make it look manly, what's it going to do?
It just makes you feel better. It gives you yeah, the word toned is quite a funny one, but it just tightens you up. It makes your body flow better. It makes you feel good. I always relate everything to feeling good, because if you're feeling good, you're looking good. There's people that I see that don't necessarily have the best body or whatever, but if they've got that big smile on their face, they're loving life, I think you look fucking sick. And that's what going to the gym is, makes you feel good. You feel like, now I feel like a superhero sometimes when I walk into the gym. I'm like, yeah, come on. Do you know what I mean? And it just makes you feel nice. And yeah, I'm actually the smallest. Like, I'm not the biggest I've ever been, but I'm the heaviest I've ever weighed. So it's kind of like, if you break it down like that, actually, when I was smaller, but I had less muscle, I just had more body fat on me. And now I'm actually just more muscular, but I'm small and compact. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't make you manly or larger, unless that's what you want to look like. It does take time, and everybody's different. I think that's the beauty of us all, is everybody's completely different. So some people have a lot of trouble putting on size and muscle, whereas I don't have any trouble putting like weight on at all, and my muscle seems to develop kind of at a quick rate. So I'm quite lucky in that way. But getting lean and having that tighter body composition is harder for me. But you can't have it all.
So what would you say to someone listening to this saying, okay, they're hearing you talk and they're thinking, okay, cool, so you had body dysmorphia when you were younger, and now you're in a career or something that you're like passionate about, which is still sort of very much body focused. It might look to some like you haven't actually that your obsession is still on your body. Like, but in what extent is this obsession different from when you were a teenager?
It's just a positive spin on it. I'm definitely obsessed. I'm completely obsessed with it, and I always will be. Yeah, I've accepted that. I mean, what else do you want me to say? I can either sit here and be negative about it and be like, oh, I'm obsessed, and there's it's in the back of my mind that sometimes I actually look at myself and think, hang on a minute, I'm getting a bit too muscular than I might like, and it's kind of like, maybe I would like to get to a stage where I don't necessarily revolve my whole days around training and food, because I do. I don't see it as a problem, because I enjoy it at the moment. But sometimes I think, when I go on holiday, it's like, oh, I just have a holiday. Like when I went to Mexico for Christmas, like the first 3 or 4 days, I was like, oh my God, I need to train. Oh my God. Da, 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 da. And then by week 2, I thought, actually, no, just drop it out. Just enjoy yourself and have fun. And, and then through that, I actually looked better at the end of my holiday than I did at the beginning. So, I am learning to kind of let it go a little bit, but it will always definitely be apparent that, I'm always going to be doing something.
I
it's
think
for what
that's the thing that people often experience with being disciplined. Like discipline equals freedom. A lot of people don't understand that, but the more disciplined you are, the more kind of free you often feel because you kind of tick all the most important boxes in your life. If you're ticking the box of being disciplined with diet, you're ticking the
yeah,
box of being disciplined with training, you're ticking the box of being disciplined with sleep. It sounds like this rigid structure, but in actuality, it makes you feel amazing. So it makes you feel more free and more energetic, more open, more spacious. But I guess sometimes it can be a bit of a prison if you're too
yeah,
relentless with it for too much of a long period of time.
yeah. And that's the thing. I've never liked, rules or structures and like in that sense. So sometimes I just kind of go, oh, I need to stop doing this. And like, I'm probably in the bodybuilding community that I know, I'm one of the kind of party animals that's more like open about going out, drinking, partying and having fun and, not having, a meal plan that I stick to all the time. Like I just can't live my life like that. And I managed to compete and I managed to do it somehow. So I guess it's just learning to know what works for you. And I think everybody is completely different, so what works for some people might not necessarily work for me. And luckily I've done all right.
Something that I find really interesting is we spoke at the start about the kind of chaos of growing up, like the absolute madness of growing up in the urban decay of central Bristol, College Green, and the kind of scenarios and situations that we found ourselves getting into. Do you kind of feel like what you're doing now is kind of like the complete opposite of that? It's so orderly. It's so sort of disciplined and structured. Do you feel that you are kind of bringing order to the chaos of your life or your mind?
Yeah, it's a new kind of chaos now. It's a new kind of chaos. I think it's very apparent that I don't just, like to keep fit and go to the gym and, it has been a massive part of my life. In fact, it's the last 2-3 years, it's been the main focus of mine, to be fair. So I guess it's another kind of addiction in that way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You think it's an addiction, yeah?
Yeah.
But in a good way.
Yeah, definitely in a good way. Definitely in a good way. Obviously there's a darker side to the bodybuilding, the steroids and that kind of drug use that comes with it. And I have dabbled in that. But again, it's something that I'm very mindful of. And, you can't just take loads of gear and look amazing. Like you still have to do everything else. And for me, again, I'm very wary of my addictive behaviors. And I think, hang on a minute, I've been down this road before. So I'm lucky that I had the College Green days because I have noticed there's a lot of patterns within my life and my behaviors that kind of stem from that, really.
So when with steroids, for example, can you sort of see parallels between your steroid use and your drug use growing up? Like,
I can, yes, I can, because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good. And it makes you look good, and it does kind of change your mood. And when you're in that kind of headspace of, well, me personally, when I'm in that headspace of using steroids, you feel like everything's fine. You're like, everything's cool. Yeah, I'm all right. This is fine. And then it's like when you come off it, then you're like, whoa, actually, I don't feel so good anymore. And it's because you've taken that out of your body. And sometimes you're working out and you don't get the pumps you used to get. You don't get that feeling of like, whether it's placebo, whether it's, whatever it is, you don't necessarily sometimes feel as good without it. And I think that's where I see a lot of people. I don't necessarily see it myself, but I do see it in a lot of other people that, they take it too far, in my opinion. They do. Yeah. And I would say that they are addicts.
a lot of people would think it's quite extreme hearing you say that you take steroids. Like, how do you view it? Because like, I know that there's not much information out there and the general public don't know anything about steroids. They don't know if it's possible to take them safely, X, Y, Z. So I'm not coming from a judgmental place. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. A lot of people think this young woman taking steroids, she could be damaging her health, she could be damaging her body. It's extreme. Like, how do you view it? Do you think it's extreme or what? Like, what's your stance on it?
I mean, I only started taking steroids in the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So I did my first kind of 2.5 years of competing without, you know, without steroids. I've taken like the bare minimum, you know, like for a female, I've taken literally just like a few things that aren't, you know, I could have taken like triple the dose basically. I could have done a lot more. So I did as much research as possible. Luckily, the people that I've spoken to have always been like, look, Lindsay, keep your femininity, keep, you know, your shape, everything. Do not ruin your health because of this. Like, obviously, I haven't had any kids. It's something that, you know, maybe I will want to have children one day, and I don't want to take that opportunity away just by taking something. Or I don't think I went from sort of fitness modeling shows, which is kind of like, it's a different kind of league to the bodybuilding shows, the last two that I've done. So that's kind of when I decided to take steroids, because I thought, hang on, I'm on a bodybuilding stage with other women who, you know, more than likely are using something. So it's kind of like you almost take steroids to maintain all the hard work that you've done, because you're dieting and obviously you're going to burn through the muscles. So, you know, it's kind of preserving what you've done without, you know, losing all that hard work. So, I mean, yeah, I've definitely thought about taking a lot more. But it's just not something that, if I was 21, God forbid, like, you know, I probably would have taken absolutely everything. But luckily I'm a little bit older and wiser, and in myself, I don't think it's going to be beneficial for me. But yeah, people will judge and always say, oh yeah, you look big because you're steroids. And it's like, no, it's not like that at all. You have to kind of, you have to get to your genetic potential before you start adding things in my opinion. Otherwise your physique will just look like a drug created physique, and that's, you know, you can't push it any further than that in my mind. Like, if you get to your genetic potential and then add a little bit of steroids, it's you know, you can get a kind of better look, in my opinion. Yes. But I take it. There's safe ways of taking it, but it's a serious thing. And I think, you know, I've met average gym goers that don't compete, that don't have, you know, and they take gear, and I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? Like, it's becoming more of a, you know, less of a kind of taboo in a way, because people are taking them generally just to look okay for general life. And I think that's, you know, you've got to be careful what you're taking. You really do.
Do you think that people in the fitness industry, female kind of like models, like fitness models, female bodybuilders, do you think people are as open about taking steroids as you are?
Not really. I mean, in my experience, no, because it's like, I guess you don't have to say it. You know, nobody owes anybody anything. You don't have to say, oh, you know, you still have to put the hours in the gym. You still have to do all the hard work. It's not like, oh, she's taking steroids, that's why she looks good at all. But I do think that people should be a little bit more open about it, because there isn't anything wrong with it in my mind. I think it makes it seem like, you know, I found it really hard to get information when I wanted to take it. You know, if you go on Google, for example, it's just all these weird like posts from like 100 years ago. And then, you know, I was speaking to quite a lot of guys about it, and obviously guys didn't really know what they were talking about. They were giving me all sorts of horrendous information, and I was just like, this is completely ridiculous. Yeah, so it's quite hard. So I do get a lot of messages from women sort of asking me like my experiences, and I'm totally happy to talk about it, because, you know, it's a big thing. And I found it really frustrating, because I was like, I want to, you know, find information, but nobody wants to bloody talk about it, and they're all lying basically. They're like, oh yeah, I look like it, and it's like, oh, whatever, all right, fair enough then. Do you know what I mean?
What do you think? What do you think is the main sort of information that isn't out there enough about steroids? Like, there's a woman, she's close to her genetic potential. She's been lifting weights for the last few years, and she wants to take it to that next level. She starts looking into steroids. She can't get any information. Like, what information, if you were to just summarize it in a nutshell, would you want to give to this hypothetical person around steroids? Well, what do you want to tell her?
Again, every person is different. So one female could I've taken the same steroids as somebody that I know, and they've had like no side effects, whether I've had bad skin, or they can have like, you know, different like hair growth or whatever. You know, everybody's different, so you don't necessarily know until you try it. But what I would say is get it from a source where you know it's, you know, a good one, like an actual lab, if possible, that's, you know, branded, whatever, not just some like random shit that you're
Not just
buying off
some random
someone.
bloke on the corner in Stokes Croft.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like just be a
So
bit more mindful.
you've got experience in this. You've got experience in this field already, then.
Be patient. You know, do your research on the chemicals. You know, maybe the dosage and the kind of cycles and stuff like that aren't necessarily out there, but there are information about the compounds that you're taking. So really understand what it could do to your body. You know, what are the pluses, what are the minuses, weigh them up. And get your blood work done as well. You know, get your blood work done by a company that works alongside bodybuilders, that understands like how an athlete's blood work should look before they start taking different things. You know, you have to invest in it. You have to put your hand in your pocket basically and get your money out. I think
got to get those high grade roids, premium quality roids.
I mean, why else would you do it? Why would you go random crap in your body? You don't know what it is and hope for the best. Like, then that's just silly. So yeah, I think just be patient and do your research. You know, because it's not a magic pill, unfortunately.
Nah. Have you experienced Roid Rage?
It's hard to say because I've only ever done gear when I've been on prep for a show. So you're hungry and you're tired and you're pretty pissed off anyway. So no. You know what I mean?
Could be the roids, just could be everything else that I'm putting myself through.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, fair enough. All right, cool. So yeah, moving on from steroids. Just talk to me about your sort of. It doesn't have to be exact, but if you could give me a rough rundown of what you would eat in the build up to a show and how many calories you'd be on and what that feels like.
So my last show that I did was probably the lowest calories I've ever been on, and that was because I did a show earlier in the year, and you know I didn't let my body build back up calorie wise, so I was kind of floating around at very low calories.
How low? How low?
I did get down to like 900, I think.
900 calories a day.
I was doing like an hour cardio in the morning, 20 minutes cardio after I trained that same day. So I was doing a lot.
So you were doing an hour of cardio and probably an hour of lifting weights, another 20 minutes of cardio, and you were doing that on 900 calories a day.
Yeah, only for about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, what were you on before that? Like 1,200 or 1,400 or something?
Yeah, it kind of just tapers down like as the weeks go on.
Okay, how does that feel?
Oh god, you feel like shite. You feel like absolute shit. Like, I mean, you saw me. You saw me like probably like maybe a week or two out, and I was just I was in this weird little like trippy headspace. You don't really know what day it is. You just go through the motions. You have to look really shit before you look good. And the last week is I love peak week. I love the final week because that's when you start to rest. You carve up. You know, you start to glam up and you start to look really, really good. And you're like, yes. But yeah, the last like 3-4 weeks or whatever, it's awful. It's not nice.
What are those 900 calories? What are you eating?
Like chicken, asparagus,
broccoli,
fish. Broccoli.
So that sounds like that basically sounds like two meals of chicken and
it's still like 5 or 6 meals, but it's just really small.
5 or 6 really small meals, yeah.
It's like, hello. Oh my god, yeah.
That's serious though. That's serious like suffering. Like most people wouldn't be able to do that. They'd be like, I have to eat, and they crack and they get a McDonald's or a chocolate bar. How do you do that? How do you sort of hang on in there? I
mean, whenever I put my money and pay for a show and I'm like, right, okay, bang, then I'm like, right, I'm not fucking this up. It don't really cross my mind. Like I have binged a few times, but that was literally my body's way of saying like I need to eat some fucking food. And that's that wasn't just me mentally breaking down. Like that was me saying I need to fucking eat. And do you know what? It did me good because I needed that. I think there's a difference. Like whereas yeah, I think you just push through it. You know, I can sit happily and go and eat out with my mates, and they're all there eating pizza and all like, oh, do you want a slice? I'm like, no, I don't. So I've got to get on stage and I want to fucking look like the dog's bollocks. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit there and, you know, I come third in my last show, which I've always won my show. So that was the first that I haven't come first place, but I knew I wasn't going to come first place because it was international. It was big, you know. So to come third, like, it was a good achievement for me, definitely. And I did binge. I had quite a bad prep. My last prep wasn't great. So, you know, against all odds, I did all right. But yeah, no, it feels horrible. It feels horrible.
It's so funny.
Oh God!
It's so funny.
I remember how.
Like, go on. Sorry.
I know you just feel awful.
You just feel awful. It's hilarious because I find it hard enough to just eat healthily. So like, even if I'm eating 2,500 calories a day, for me to be like really healthy for like a week or two with no naughty food is like a struggle. Like I'll have a can of Coke here or junk food there, and sometimes a few days in a row I won't eat well. And like,
good though. That's a good, like, how I normally live my life is 80-20. You know, like I'll be 80% good and 20% bad. And I think that's, you know, what more you've got to be realistic with your lifestyle. And I love food. You know, I love sweet food as well. I've got like a real sweet tooth, so to take all that away, it's you know, it's hard. But I think I'm very competitive. You know, I am very competitive.
So that helps.
I think, yeah. And you know, it comes quickly. You know, it comes around so quickly.
Yeah.
16 weeks becomes like 1 week, and you're like, shit, I've done it.
You mentioned earlier about how we didn't have cameras when we were growing up, and that's something I think about quite a lot. You know what I think about quite a lot, actually? You know, now all photos, like, it's about, you know, that the camera's on you and you're posing and you want to look the best that you can for the photo. Back in the day when we used to use disposable cameras, that wasn't the situation. The best photos were candid photos. You would speak, you would take photos of people when they were like having a laugh with someone or talking to someone else. So when those photos came out, it wasn't just like this posed image. It was like a snapshot of an actual moment taking place. And that's what used to be fun about photos. You don't get photos like that anymore because now it's probably considered a bit nosy and like pervy and weird to start snapping people when they don't know that you're taking a photo. Do you know what I mean? Like if I just started taking photos of my friends when I was sat there, they'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Because people want to know they're having a photo taken of them. It didn't used to be like that though. Photos used to be more fun.
Yeah, and then people, oh, can I see it? And then, oh, I don't like that one. Do it again.
I know.
And you're like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's bad in a way.
Yeah, it is. It's shit. But then that makes me think, like, what effect does Instagram, you mentioned earlier, like a load of people now probably have body dysmorphia. What effect does Instagram and social media, like, maybe not just your body in particular, but like, what do you think it does to the minds of, well, it's not just girls either, it's guys, you know, it's everyone growing up, you know, it is everyone. But I think women are kind of more susceptible to it for some reason. Maybe like women have different beauty standards or something. But what do you think Instagram and social media, it's kind of like you're getting these picture perfect images all around. It's probably just a melting pot for people to feel insecure and down on themselves, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And, you know, it's when you're looking and you're scrolling, you're kind of in there, you know, your mind is watching, and it's all very like bang in your face, and there's all these perfect bodies, and they're all like, you know, filtered, and the angles are good. And you know, there's some photos, obviously when I do modeling and I take photos, I think, oh God, that's me. Like, and people that don't know me have said, oh my God, you know, you look, and I'm just like, whoa, like, I'm not like, I don't, you know, your perception of people completely changes, doesn't it? People look bigger, people look thinner, people look more like, wow, who is this person? But you know, we're only human, for God's sake. And I think I've spent hours looking at images of women mainly going, oh my God, why don't I look like that? Especially when you're prep and you're looking at people that you're going to compete against, and you're like, oh my God, they're so much better than me, and what But you know, I limit my time on social media, like I have to. And
Why?
I don't know, because it's just waste of time.
But
does
it make you feel shit, or is it just because it's a waste of time?
Sometimes it does make you feel shit. Yeah, it's made me feel shit in the past before. And I just think, oh, why am I doing this to myself? If I just come off it, then it's disappeared. You know, and it sucks us in. You know, buy the product, get this, you know, buy this pair of leggings, or you know, this and that that's thin and beautiful and look amazing. And you know, I think me doing a lot of photo shoots and knowing that actually most of the time you're freezing cold, it hurts to pose like that all the time. You know, it's hard work. It's not glamorous at all. You know, it's hard work. It's not, doing a photo shoot is bloody hard work. So it's like I always see like the background pictures now, and I always think, oh yeah, okay. Like they look fucking amazing, but you know, take all of the glamour and the photo and the filter away, you know, they are just a normal person like everybody else.
That's 100% true. Here's a question. If you could press a button right now and delete all of social media, like, so it was never invented and it never existed, what would you do?
No, I wouldn't press it.
You wouldn't press it?
No.
You're loving your 11K followers on Instagram, you know? You're like, nah, I'm not giving up my 11K followers on Instagram.
Be lovely people
from social media.
Yeah, and like me and you might have not reconnected again if it weren't for social media. And you know, would I even bodybuild if it weren't for social media? That is a good question, because you know, without all the hype and the support that I get from these people that I don't even fucking know, would I even do it? That is a good question. Probably fucking not.
Yeah. It's like it's probably those constant. It probably is that constant validation, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We need validation. It probably is that. It probably is that validation from people saying, "Yeah, you look good. Yeah, keep going. Yeah, keep working hard. Oh my god, you look amazing." That if you didn't have social media to put that on, you just go and stand on stage, get judged by a bunch of strangers, and then go back home. That's
what it used to be like, and I think you know, there's a plus and a minus to everything. You know, there really is. And, you know, bodybuilding's always been like it's a sport that's never going to be like, I mean, obviously you've got like, it's massive, it is huge, but it's still always going to be one of those kind of like, it's just one of those like, it is underground in a way.
It's a weird sport.
Really football, is it? Where everybody watches it. It's kind of one of those things that everyone, oh god, they're a bodybuilder. Well, that's a bit strange, or that's a bit unusual, or you know. And I think, yeah, social media has made it massive and a lot bigger in a way. I think it's a good thing. Like
it's very Instagrammable, isn't it?
It is very Instagrammable, and it's, you know, you motivate people. People tell, "Oh my god, you're an inspiration," and what you've been through. And sometimes I think, "Fuck me, I don't bloody know." But then I think, "Oh, actually, that's really nice." You know, it's really nice, and I don't ever want to have that negative impact on someone and think, you know, like. It kind of upsets me sometimes when people message me and say, "Oh, I wish I looked like you," or "I wish I had this," and I always say, "Hang on a minute, no, like you're beautiful. Like, don't ever think you're not. Don't ever think that I'm some fucking big, you know, I am, because I'm not. I'm just a normal person like you." So I don't want them to feel like how I feel when I look at some of these women and go, "Oh my god, why don't I?" It's not nice. But yeah, I think I definitely wouldn't press the button. I do love social media, but I just wish. Maybe, I don't know, sometimes I'm like, oh, but I just delete it myself, you know. Because we're lucky, we about it, don't we? We had a whole life about that.
Yeah.
And God forbid, me do college.
Yeah. If social media was around when we were growing up, like, I don't know some of the stuff that might have found its way to the internet, but I'm glad that we were kind of the last generation of kids before social media, because it popped up when we were about 17, 18. So we got those chaotic teenage years, kind of a lot of them out of the way, because it popped up when we were 17, 18, but then it still didn't even really get huge for another 4 or 5 years after that.
I didn't get it till I was like 24, I think. I just got with it, really.
Yeah. I felt like I'd been around. I felt like I'd had a few lifetimes worth of like ups and downs and various different scenarios in my life before social media. By the time I was like 18, really, I'd been around the block a few times, you know.
Yeah.
For want of a better word, I mean, I don't know exactly how to, but yeah. So yeah, well, I think you've absolutely smashed it, mate. To be honest with you. You always say to me quite a lot when we see each other, you're like, yes, mate, we survived College Green, you know, like we came out the other side. Like, but yeah. Couple of questions just to round it off. I want to ask you your kind of highest point and lowest point of your bodybuilding career so far. Like, what was a real moment where maybe you were struggling or you wanted to quit or anything like that? And then what was like the peak of your career? And then I'm going to ask you what your plans are moving forward. And then, Lindsay, I'm going to let you get on with your life this afternoon and love you and leave you.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So I'm going to start with the highest point. Was definitely my last show, because it was a massive stage, and you know, I walked up to that lineup going, "Oh crap, I'm not even gonna." I just thought, "Oh well, it was nice, you know, nice to be here," and I nearly fell over. and I still come third. So I was very happy with that.
Congratulations.
Really happy with that. And I went out there on my own as well, which is, I think, is quite a big thing. And the lowest point, there's quite a few, and that's just being on diet. You know, I can't pick a lowest point because there's quite a few where you just think, what the fuck am I doing? And yeah, it's probably around 3 weeks out from a show when you're fucked, basically, and you know that unfortunately you just got to carry on and you shut the fuck up and get on with it, basically. Yeah, and my plans, I'm not competing for the whole of this year. I am just going to get my calories up nicely. I'll always continue to train, but I'm not training for a show. I'm just training for me at the moment. And I'm actually growing. I'm actually getting really nice gains from it. And I think that's, you know, where the food comes in massively. I've got a really good coach who I know, like, on a personal level. He's not just an Instagram character that I don't give a fuck. He's actually a nice person. So hopefully, you know, watch this space. I'm looking at next year. And I'm definitely feeling the vibe of more international shows. Definitely.
Sick. Gives you a chance to just go away as well, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't gone yet in bodybuilding. I will be back.
Well, I hope you go from strength to strength, excuse the pun. I hope you keep getting better and better and rising high through the bodybuilding world, because I know you can. And it also means I can get you back on this channel for another chat, which would be sound as well.
Yeah. Wicked.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. And yeah, we'll have to go for a walk or grab a steak sometime soon and have a little chin wag in person.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. All right, my dear. Thanks for joining me.